Well, hello and welcome to Winning in Prayer. I'm Pastor Daryl. So glad to be with you again. Today we're going to be talking about some principles of fasting. We're going to be coming from Isaiah the 58th chapter, and I want to introduce to you our new fasting guide. And I'm sure you see there that it says the 17 advantages of effective fasting, and it's taken from Isaiah 58. And so, what I want to cover with you today is the verses leading up to the results of effective fasting. So, in verse 1 lets us know that it says, "Cry aloud, spare not, lift up thy voice like a trumpet, and show my people their transgression, and the house of Jacob their sins. Yet they seek me daily, and delight to know my ways, as a nation that did righteousness, and forsook not the ordinance of their God. They ask of me the ordinances of justice. They take delight in approaching to God." So even though the word is being declared in verse 1, it says, "Cry aloud, spare not, lift up thy voice like a trumpet." That's the minister's job, is to declare the word of the Lord. It says, "Yet they seek me daily. They delight to know my ways, as a nation that did righteousness." As a nation that did righteousness, and forsook not the ordinance of their God. They ask of me the ordinances of justice. Oh, an ordinance is a decree. It shows an adherence to principles, an adherence to what's right. So right away you get to see, even though the word is being declared, there are some hypocritical ways that are being portrayed here really quickly. It says they take delight in approaching to God. They take delight in approaching to God. Now look at verse 3. It says, "Wherefore have we fasted?" Say they. They want to know, why have I been fasting and you haven't taken notice? So look at this. Verse 3, it says, "And thou seest not, wherefore have we afflicted our soul, and thou takest no knowledge. Behold, in the day of your fast ye find pleasure, and exact all your labors." Well, right at the end of verse 2, you can see really quickly that they've gotten off track. It says, because they delight in approaching to God. Well, fasting really isn't fun. There's a certain enjoyment that you get from fasting, but the sole purpose can't be that it's enjoyable and that it's fun. And so they want to know, why are we fasting and you're not seeing it? Why are we afflicting our soul and you take no knowledge? We're doing this, but we're not seeing any results. We're doing this, but we feel as if you haven't taken notice. Listen, when you fast and do it properly, not only will God notice, not only will he pay attention, but you will get results when you are fasting properly. When you fast properly, what you'll find out is, from the 8th verse on down through the end of the chapter in Isaiah 58, is if you fast properly, I'm outlining in our fasting guide 17 advantages when you fast properly. He's going to answer, he'll respond, he's going to take notice, but you have to fast with the right motives, the right intents, the right reason. It can't just be because you want to be seen, because you want to be heard. Let's look at verse 4. It says, "Behold, ye fast for strife and debate." This cannot be the reason that you and I fast. They're fasting for the wrong motives and with the wrong intents. It says, "Behold, ye fast for strife and debate, and to smite with the fist of wickedness." So they're fighting. They're fighting. "Ye shall not fast as ye do this day, to make your voices to be heard on high." This cannot be the reason that we're fasting, that our voices be heard, or that we are fighting and we're striving with one another, that cannot be our reason for fasting. At the 5th verse, it's still talking about their way. It said, "Is this such a fast that I have chosen? A day for a man to afflict his soul? Is it to bow down his head as a bulrush and to spread sackcloth and ashes under him? Wilt thou call this a fast and an acceptable day to the Lord?" All these, everything that's outlined in verse 5 are outward things. Are outward things. Fasting is an inward thing. Look at what it says. You're afflicting your soul to bow down your head as a bulrush. You're spreading sackcloth under you. Will you call this an acceptable fast? It's all about you here. Verse 5 is all about you. It's all about that individual. Wrong motives, wrong intents. But when you fast properly, with the right motives and the right intent, God says that he will reward you. I'm going to read verse 6 to you. Verse 6 says, "Is not this the fast that I have chosen?" This is God's way of doing it. "To loose the bands of wickedness, to unloose heavy burdens, and to let the oppressed go free, and that ye break every yoke." These are not things that you can readily see, but it's an inward thing. "Is it not to deal thy bread to the hungry, and that thou bring the poor that are cast out to thy house? When thou seest the naked, that thou cover him, and that thou hide not thyself from thine own flesh." Now verse 7 really gives us a picture of what fasting is all about. And fasting is not about being selfish, but it's just the opposite. Fasting is about being very unselfish and not just self-centered. All of these verses have selfishness attached to them because the motives are wrong, their intents are wrong, the reasoning for doing what they're doing is wrong, and even what they're looking to get is wrong. But verse 7 lets us know that even when we're fasting, we have to be unselfish. It cannot just be about me. It cannot just be about what I want. But we have to be unselfish even in our fasting so that it's effective. Fasting puts power behind your prayers. There's so many reasons why we can fast, but what I want you to key in on is, don't be selfish when you're fasting. One of the greatest benefits that we'll get from fasting is that fasting will help to quiet our spirit. Fasting will help to quiet life. Fasting helps to take the noise out of life. Fasting helps us to settle down. Fasting helps to calm our spirit, helps us to recenter, helps us to get focused again. Fasting is anti-anxiety, it's anti-panic, it's anti-worry. When you're fasting properly and with the right motives and intent, there is no way you can be anxious while fasting. There's no way you're going to panic while fasting. There's no way to be filled with worry while you're fasting. Great benefit. One of the great benefits of fasting is that it will quiet. It will take the noise out of life. It will take the noise out of life. And again, fasting will put power behind your prayers. It will put momentum behind your prayers. It will put traction behind your prayers. Listen, when things begin to go stale and you can't hear from God, and your prayer life doesn't have that oomph that you like to have when you're praying, it's time to call a fast. When there's some things in your life that are sticking, maybe some habits, maybe some things that you can't get beyond, it's time to call a fast. If there's some things going on in your family that just hasn't been able to move. Some situations, some circumstances. Maybe you need some extra power in your prayer. It's time to call a. It's time to call a fast. And fasting is not just what we do corporately. Fasting can be done individually or in groups. But listen, what I want to encourage you is to, when you fast, make sure that you are doing it with the right motives and with the right intent. And if you do that, there are benefits to fasting. And again, I want to show you, I have outlined 17 advantages of effective fasting. If you do it right, there are some advantages. And listen, I want to encourage you that fasting it isn't a diet. And it's not just about going hungry. It's not just about going hungry. Scripture says, "Draw nigh to me, and I'll draw nigh to you." One of the greatest ways to draw nigh to God. If you're looking to get a closer walk with God, one of the best ways to do that is through the area of fasting. Fasting will help you to get closer to God. If you need to hear from God, best way to do that is to go on a fast. Now listen, I know sometimes that going on fast, and especially a lengthy fast, it can be dangerous. So listen, I'm going to encourage you, if there are some health concerns, maybe you're dealing with high blood pressure or some other issues, consult your physician before starting a fast. But if you're healthy and there are nothing holding you back, man, I challenge you, do a 24-hour fast. Do a 3-day fast. I have done a 21-day fast. Now I didn't go a full 21 days without eating. What we would fast part of the day, have a meal, and go back into fasting. And it's one of the greatest ways to draw closer to God, to better your relationship. Again, if you want to hear from God, go on a fast. But listen, I also want to encourage you, our new download, The Promises of Isaiah 58, 17 Advantages of Effective Fasting, will be available this week to be downloaded as an ebook. And I want you to take advantage of that. Amen. Help me to make the release of this ebook a success by purchasing it. It's very affordable. It's not going to break the bank, but I'm asking that you would help me to help make it a success. And so, listen, I just thank you in advance for purchasing a copy of it, and I'm looking forward to hearing testimonies of fasting effectively and the advantages that you're going to get through this ebook. And so I just thank you for your time on today. Listen, you know, as always, I love you with the love of the Lord, and my challenge to you is don't stop praying. And until next time, keep praying, but not just praying, but keep winning in prayer. And I'll see you next time.